Good morning and happy St. Patrick's Day, Nova Nation and friends of Nova Nation. I'm Dr. Jennifer Joyce, Associate Director of the Villanova Center for Irish Studies, and I'm also I'm a Villanova alum, class of 1999. Welcome to the Villanova St. Patrick's Day celebration, links across the Atlantic. We're streaming from Villanova's campus, as you can see, and taking you across the ocean to Galway this morning for our first segment of the day. Now, it's not too late if you haven't already registered for our Lunchtime in Dublin City segment or our music festival this evening. You can head over to the registration page and modify your registration, and that will give you the links for the lunchtime and the evening program. Some of you have contributed generously to today's event, and we just wanted to thank you so much. We've gotten a lot of support over the years to send Villanovans to Ireland, especially from the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick. Special thanks to Joe and Ryan Heenan, and then also the Connolly Foundation. But we're always looking for ways to bring Irish students to Villanova as well. Galway, of course, is one of our favorite destinations in Ireland, and it holds a special place in my heart. I lived there in the 2013-2014 academic year, thanks in part to Dr. Jim Murphy, who was the founder of Villanova's Center for Irish Studies, and his wife, Kathy. I rented from them in Galway. And I'd like to say that with Irish roots in Derry, the Shannons in Derry, and the Joyces in County Mayo, I had never been to Ireland until that time. And when my plane touched down, I kid you not, my students always laugh about this, but I just felt like I was home. And Galway is also where I met my first Irish friend, Mary Madec, who is our Director of Education Abroad in Ireland. And Dr. Madec holds a Ph.D. in linguistics from the University of Pennsylvania, and she's an accomplished poet in her own right. And she warmly welcomes students to Galway, teaches them about Irish culture, and Mary welcomed me as family, as she seems to leave that impression everywhere she goes. So a quick story for you. When I was returning to Villanova, looking for a place to live after my time in Galway, I answered a pretty nondescript Craigslist ad. And when I made the phone call, there was an Irish accent on the other end who answered the call. And we started chatting, and I said, you know, I can move in July, but in June I'm heading back to Dublin because I'm giving a presentation with my friend at a conference. And the lovely voice on the other end asks, "Is your friend Mary Madec?" My one friend from Ireland. Of course, the other end of the phone call was the lovely Frances Gibbons, who she and Patrick, her husband, had known Mary for 25 years, and they wound up taking wonderful care of me in the Villanova community the next couple of years as my landlords and my friends. And so whether we call that God's grace or the power of the Nova Nation or just the luck of the Irish, I feel very grateful. And so today I'm delighted that Mary is able to welcome us all into her kitchen, her gorgeous kitchen, to cook us an Irish breakfast with her lovely husband, Conal O'Quinn. So I'm going to send it off to Mary. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and enjoy, everyone.
Thank you very much, Jenny. That is a wonderful story indeed. Jeeve Armagin, August Bannock Dina Féle Páric Díobh Galéir. It's not actually a morning in Ireland, it's now afternoon. But there are only 4 hours between us today, which feels nice that it's not as big as usual, the time difference. We're streaming live from Kinvara in County Galway, which is on the opposite side of the bay to Galway, but it's only 30 kilometers away. This is my husband, Conal, and he usually cooks breakfast in this house, mind you. And I'm just putting an ad in of scones, which I hope will work in this time. So maybe you'd introduce yourself, Conal.
Yes, I'm Conal, Mary's husband, and I live here in Kinvara. I like to say it's the South Shore. You Americans, you use the South Shore and the North Shore. So the South Shore of Galway Bay. So it's great to be here. And in our kitchen, we love our kitchen and we love cooking here. There's an island here in front of us. And then in the background are the hob and some storage there for plates, etc. So we're going to cook you this morning. Mary's going to make the buns, and I'm going to do poached eggs with black and white pudding and rashers, we call them.
Right.
That's slices of bacon. So,
okay, so Conal is going to put those, and I'm going to I have my bowl here and my weighing scales. So I'm now going to start the scones, but I'm going to chat to you at the same time. So I've been resident director here since 2001, and it seems like a long time now. And I've put a lot of students through my hands, and overall it has been an amazing and wonderful experience to bring a lot of people back to their roots and to introduce them to Ireland in an experiential learning context. So I know that there are no doubt some of my former students out there and other people who are connected in this, what Jenny was calling Nova Nation. So if you want to say hello, write to us in the chat. We were already seeing that Lucy Rieger, Suzanne Henry, I saw Mary Ryan, Daniel O'Rourke. I know all these people, and I'm delighted to hear from them. So if you want to leave us a little message or a greeting in the chat, please do.
There's one particular person we want to greet, two people, Jim Murphy and his wife, Kathy. We hope you're looking in. We have great memories of you. We met you in Clifton the last time, where Jim was giving a wonderful paper, and we had a great time together. So we hope you're all well over there. Mary, what are you doing just now?
Now, so I'm starting the scones. So I'm using self-raising flour. I don't know how into baking you are, but you can bake along with me if you like. 8 ounces of self-raising flour. A good teaspoon of, good, my dishwasher is just behind me, a good teaspoon of baking powder. Erase the mixture, just give it a little bit of air. And now this is the trick with the scones.
Butter.
You put in an ounce, well, I'm making half a batch, so I'll put in an ounce of butter, which you chop or slice, whatever way, but make sure it's kind of soft or it's going to be very hard. And you rub that in with your fingertips.
Yeah.
And that's the basis. Now we're going to, I'm going to use an egg. I want to tell you a little bit about my little props here. Do you see those lovely shamrocks? They're from my little neighbor, Maya. And Maya is one of the new Irish. Her, yeah, no, I have it ready.
You have it ready here.
Put it in, yeah, I can break it there for me. Maya's dad is from East Germany, and her mum is from Poland. Yeah. And Maya was born in Ireland, and as you know, we have a lot of new Irish, and it's a wonderful, I think, experience really in Ireland to have all these new people. So
coming back to baking there, there's in this lockdown that we've been in for the last year, on and off, baking has become a huge thing in Ireland. It started off with a rush on flour because people thought they wouldn't have enough food, so it started off the rush on bread, didn't it? On bread first, yeah. And then a rush on flour, and then people began to bake with their children. And so a great bond grew up between them, and they were practicing. And so the sales of flour in Ireland just rocketed. I don't know, it's the same in the United States during lockdown. But no. Mary has a great story about raisins. She's putting in raisins. Mary has a great story about when her mother got a cooker. Yeah, I'll be telling them that, and you get me a little drop of milk. So to bring this to now. So the trick with the liquid, because you can easily put too much liquid in scones if you're not careful. So I beat the egg, and then I bring it to 150 mils, or 5 fluid ounces. Okay, so put that in to bring it up to just in the middle there. Okay.
Yes. Because I was doing this, I've been thinking a lot about baking and how important it is, you know, making our own food. I think that's one of the lovely things that people discovered in the pandemic, because they were at home and children had the pleasure of making food with their parents and trying out baking. And I remember that I started baking when I was 6, actually. I remember making brown bread with my mother when I was 6 years old. And I think I always did some baking. I come from a family of 6 children, so you always had people who'd eat it, no matter how bad it was. And that helped.
And then she got a new cooker.
Yeah, so then my mother got a new cooker. It was like a state-of-the-art gas stove. And it came with the recipe book. Now, you know, of course, probably the most, you know, we didn't have fancy recipe books when I was a child around here. A lot of people had All in the Cooking, and there was certainly All in the Cooking hanging around my house. But there was a lovely recipe book with this cooker. There were recipes on everything imaginable, like dinner and Welsh rarebit.
Yeah.
Put it down.
I'm just showing you what Mary is doing there.
Yeah,
she's forming it. Yeah.
Okay. I can't.
We don't always agree.
We can't do this baking like this. You can't have 2 chefs in one kitchen.
No.
Okay, now so
Too many
now
cooks.
I have a little. I'm trying to do this now against the clock as well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask Cummin to take out the baking tin, so we can hop them in as fast as we can.
Okay.
And I'm just going to make them into little rounds. I've been shaking a little flour, but you don't need to make them too thin, because if you do, they won't come out nice. So keep it nice and thick like that. Okay. Hop them in with a little bit of fat maybe on it. Rub it with a little bit of. Okay. So
you're shaping them now, are you?
I'm shaping them now.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Cutting them.
Show
with
them
this.
all my mistakes now. Okay, now I'm just going to shake a little bit of flour on that because I haven't time to grease it properly, but it'll be okay. Now, so there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
You're just making a few.
I'm just making a small amount because with lockdown, there's only myself and Connell here in the house.
Yeah.
So I can't have my sons to come and visit. And that's interesting too, because the new cool thing here is it's not soda bread, it's sourdough.
Yeah.
And my children are mad into sourdough.
They're grown children now.
They're grown children, yeah. They're young men.
Yeah.
And they make sourdough bread every week.
Yeah. And they taught you how to make it.
Yeah, I'm learning, let's say.
It's not easy.
No, it's quite hard. You have to.
So sometimes we get a rock and sometimes we get something very fluffy.
Oh, we never get a rock.
And then we get something wonderful in between.
He's in trouble. He's in trouble.
Yeah.
Do you mind putting that
I'm holding these eggs out of the way. Now, am I going to start on the eggs and cooking?
Yeah, and will you maybe you put that in for me into the oven, and then we're done with that. So so that's it. So your scones then are basically 8 ounces of flour, level teaspoon of baking powder, caster sugar, and butter. So I put in 1 ounce of butter. If you make a whole batch, you double those amounts, and an egg and milk to make up 5 fluid ounces. That's probably the most important thing for the success of the Now, so, Conor wants to introduce something here.
So I'm going to make poached eggs, and I am renowned for my poached eggs. And I found it in a recipe book once, So you take boiling water and you put it into your saucepan.
See how humble he is too.
Make it fairly deep, and I'm going to bring it up to the boil. And when I bring it up to the boil, then I introduce the eggs, but the eggs will cool the water. So you bring it back up to the boil, but you don't let it boil vigorously. And then you turn it off and you leave it for 6 minutes, only 6 minutes, and they're done. So you don't add any more heat to it. So I'm going to put on, I'm going to put them on now, and then I'm going to ask Mary to read a poem, but she'll introduce it herself.
Okay.
So the eggs are going on now.
Okay. You couldn't have a celebratory breakfast without a little bit of poetry. So I'm going to read a poem first about baking, and it's about my sister. And it's an old poem, and I had it out here, and of course I was editing it already. I can see problems with it, but just as it is. Sister, come by the back door in from the rain. Let us sift through our memories in the back kitchen, our wet fingers fondling the old pages of all in the cooking. Not illustrated, yet untouched, expanding into images of our rummages for milk, butter, flour, eggs, and weighing scales to bake queen cakes. Remember when we stuffed peppers for the first time, made bechamel for Welsh rarebit? We licked spoons, listened to each other's stories, comforting after our father's long illness, after his death. We learned to cook, bake, figured family again, discovered what makes it easier to go out into the rain. So that is all true. So, you know, baking was very important for me in my family. I suppose in a way, when I was a child, I lived in the middle of nowhere in Mayo, and there wasn't a lot to do in the evening, and you really had to make your own fun, especially in the winter. So definitely baking was a very enjoyable thing to do on the long winter evenings. Now, we did call out, I called out Frances and Pat Gibbons, or Jenny did. I'd also like to say hello to their little granddaughter, Annie, who sent me a lovely card at Christmas. And I had it here, but I can't find it now. So hi to Annie and her dad and her mum living in Devon.
Can I just introduce you to black and white pudding? Now, so this might turn some people off, but that is a mixture of blood and other things that is used traditionally. And this is more leftovers from the butchery process, but it's regarded as being very delicious traditionally. And I'd love to serve it up to you yourselves someday when you come. All right.
Okay.
Put it into slices.
Now, Conal was mentioning Jim. And if you're out there, Jim, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Jim was the
Dr. Jim Murphy, who started Irish Studies in Villanova, it was, I suppose, the father of everything we know now in the blossoming of programs between Villanova and Galway and Dublin. So he started to make connections in the late 70s. And in fact, Villanova were the first university in contact, the first university from North America in contact with NUI Galway. And that program developed into my program, which is a semester program. So the students come to me for the semester, and other people come on summer programs with Dr. Joseph Lennon. And then at various times, Mary Mullen has come, and I believe Sarah Murta is going to come as soon as it's possible to run the program again. And we have a resident theology teacher here who actually was brought up in South Africa, the wonderful Amanda Dillon. So Amanda, if you're looking in, hello. So the programs have really expanded, and the links are great for people on both sides. And I think it's a very interesting dynamic, the Villanova, Inuit Galway especially dynamic, and the Irish American dynamic. It's fundamental to who we are. Now Conal wants to show you his fry on the pan.
So it's and the eggs are well underway.
That's Clonakilty Pud now, everyone. Yeah. As Conal said, we live in the Burn, or just at the gateway to the Burn. Kinvara is actually in County Galway, but we're really on the border of Clare. And there's a wonderful landscape in this place called the Burn, which really means burn means rock. But when the students come over, we also kind of explore landscape in a more formal way. And I've been using a lot of work from a man called Tim Robinson, who has written wonderful books on mapping and on experiences of the landscape. I mean, people would have known him years ago for Stones of Iron, and now he's a series on Connemara. And he also has you know, shorter pieces. And one of them was an essay that I use with my students called a Connemara fractal. So fractals.
But the sad thing is he's died.
Yes, I know, I was going to say that. But yeah, the very sad thing is that Tim Robinson died recently, and he died of COVID, and his wife died, I think, about 2 weeks after him. And I was very sad to hear about that. And that on the back road from where we live here, it's a little lane that I walked all through the first lockdown. I thought of him, especially, you know, as the season went on. And in this book, which I have to flag because not only am I in it, but Dr. Joseph Lennon has a poem in it. And it's a fresh shrift for our editor, Jessie Lendenny of Salmon Poetry, to celebrate 40 years of salmon poets, the Salmon Press, Salmon Poetry Press. And it has a foreword from the president, Michael D. Higgins. And as well as that, it has an amazing collection of poems from so many people, not just salmon authors in Ireland. Wonderful. So I was really glad to have a poem in this, to be in with all that good company. So I'm going to read this poem for you now about the place we live and about Tim Robinson. So one of the things he talks about is our need to make the good step, to actually consider the landscape in all our movements and to enter into a more meaningful communion with it. And I suppose the fractal idea is the notion that, you know, the small is the same as the big picture in various ways. So anyway, I call this a Burren fractal as opposed to a Connemara fractal. And it's in memory of Tim Robinson. I learned how to make the good step on the earth, as you said. My foot, an imprint of care, an embrace. I listened to the world grow with the rising of the light. And as the light was rising, you died. Now is the time of the knapweed, field scabious, and sweet marjoram, the world turning relentlessly. The height of summer gone, winter soon to come. And in some graveyard far away, you are softening into the earth. I can hear you say, it's where you belong. I look out over warm limestone to the islands you mapped. I am taking each day wrapped one step at a time.
Very sad to think that he's gone. He used to live in a house on the pier in Roundstone, and I would have loved to have met him, but I never did. And my intention was one day to knock on the door.
Yes, he was a legend, as they say, a legend in his own time. And he was actually an Englishman. And, you know, it was wonderful to see how much he, you know, invested in Irish culture and in making it accessible and meaningful to people.
These wonderful maps of the areas where he puts in stuff that you wouldn't find on any other map.
Yeah.
Stuff that he has discovered. And
now look, breakfast is looking good here.
Yeah, all served. Those are the scrambled eggs, the poached eggs.
I have to check the scones.
Yeah.
So now you can chat away there.
Yes.
Okay, I think we're doing well on the scones as well.
So you think they're finished, Mary?
I think they're almost done here.
No disasters yet.
Okay.
We're lucky. We're getting lucky. Now
we need another minute or two.
Another minute or two, yeah.
But I can show them if we need to close off.
Bring it out just to have a look. And Jenny, when you need to close off, let us know. Give us a timeline. That's what they're looking like.
They're looking pretty good.
But they have to be a bit browner than that.
1 little minute more.
Now they're delicious with butter and then strawberry jam. And if you're lucky, put a bit of cream on it. And that is to die for. But it doesn't have to be
clotted cream.
No.
It doesn't have to be clotted cream.
Whipped cream, though.
Yeah, whipped cream or any.
Make it mushy.
But actually, I think one of the best ways is with butter, you know, smothered in butter and anything you have. Apricot jam, blackcurrant is a big favorite in this house.
Yeah.
Or even marmalade. Marmalade is lovely.
Marmalade, what's that?
Marmalade. Marmalade is
the German for jam.
Yeah, it's jam made from oranges, and every Irish person knows what marmalade is.
Yeah, it's marmalade in German. It means jam.
Okay, well, are you going to start bringing that over, Conal?
Yes, I'll bring it over.
Okay,
and you'll see our breakfast table.
Yes.
Well, our table, full stop.
Now, before we leave, I'd like to call out as well to the people we work with in UI Galway, especially Anna Cunningham and her team in the International Affairs Office, and also Orla Nocton in the business school, and all the people we collaborate with. Now, over the years, people have come over here and had the experience of living here and working here. In 2015, I went to the campus in Villanova and I taught there for a semester. And Dr. Helen Lafferty came over here and looked after my students and the program while I did that. And that was a lovely experience for me, and I hope it was a lovely one for her. I think it was. Also, Dr. Andrea Welker in the engineering school came over, and her children, Elizabeth and Ava, went to school here. So, you know, it's wonderful to see these very immersive experiences happening, because they really deepen our understanding of each other. And I think that, you know, even though many people are Irish, and, you know, I love to see people coming and finding their connections with Ireland, but we're also open to everyone. And I think it's good for all of us. Now. And
I'm making some tea, and we have a very famous tea called Barry's tea.
Barry, well, we're Barry's tea people now. Yeah. Some people like Lyons tea, so we're not doing promotion for anything in particular, but they're probably the two most popular brands of tea. And tea is like wine in Ireland, wine other places.
And rooibos, which is a South African tea, which is rooibos, which red bush it means.
That's because, you know, we try not to drink as much caffeine. You know, if you drank caffeine tea every time you want a cup of tea. You could have a little
So
surplus.
to show how righteous we are, we have decaf there. So we have a whole drawer of teas
Now,
and
I
of
think
course
I'm
coffee.
to,
So Mary's
ready to do the scones.
Mary's scones are finished,
So
and
nothing like warm scones.
so we're going to go. Can we have, as they say in French, à table? Come to the table with us. And I'm going to turn the camera around, and you'll see our table. Oh, have you seen our dog?
Oh yeah,
There's our dog, Rocky. Hello, Rocky. Say hello to them all. Oh, he's not too sure. Does he want to go international yet?
When I finish baking,
Yeah.
I'll introduce.
Wow.
Okay, so this is.
So that's our table.
Now, Rocky, do you want to say hello?
And,
Come here to Mary. Now I've done. Okay, you can.
You come in front of the camera there with Rocky, because Rocky is a part of our household.
Okay,
Came to us
I
at
want to
lunchtime.
introduce you to my Rocky. So Rocky is my Shetland sheepdog, but I only have him because he followed me after the first lockdown, or during the first lockdown, and then I found out that his owners were trying to get rid of him. So I decided I'd have Rocky come to my house, and it's a marriage made in heaven. He's a wonderful dog. He's a tiny little fella, but he's a real sweetheart, and we're really enjoying having a dog. I haven't had a dog for years. So now I finished the baking, so it was okay for me to touch the dog. So I'm going to rinse my hands, and we're going to sit down for breakfast.
Yeah, and I'm pouring the tea now. That's what we say, we're pouring the tea. In fact, we're pouring water into the tea, or onto the tea.
Now we take the aprons off, I think, Colin.
Yes.
Take our aprons off. The work is done.
Are we probably dressed under the aprons?
I hope you have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day, and I can't wait to get back over there and to give a hug to all my dear friends. So Bannacht na féile páric a ríis, Dave.
Yeah.
Agus go mbeirimiid bio ag an am seo ríis.
And we might see some of you here coming over for your international experience.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to new students in September. We should be able to run the program by then. So let's hope for that.
And I might be able to cook you a poached egg and some black pudding.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to eat that.
We just had our cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers, everyone. We clink our glasses.
I'm starving because it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon here and I haven't had a decent breakfast
You want
yet.
to clink?
Clink.
Clink.